that is after 2 years, if they still need care, that may have given them enough time to liquidate some of those assets and then would be able to self-fund. So again, that is called a short and fat policy. Next option is to self-fund and buy a long-term care insurance policy with a long elimination period, a long benefit period. This is what we call a long and lean policy. And this is a good policy for clients that have a fair amount of assets, but they're worried about spending them down. They want to insure against the worst case scenario if they were diagnosed at an early age with a cognitive disorder such as Alzheimer's, something like that. Or maybe they have a family history of Alzheimer's and they've had a mother or father that has needed care for a long period of time, and they see how that can spend down the assets. So what we would recommend is they purchase a daily benefit of maybe $100, $125, long elimination period, 180 days to 360 days. As I said, they would not need to access that policy benefits for 6 to 12 months because they have their own assets that they could access. And then a long benefit period, maybe unlimited benefits, or 5 years with shared care if it's a couple, so they would have 10 years to share between them. Again, this is a nice policy to just help supplement their own self-funding, and this is the long and lean. Fourth type is to buy a long-term care insurance policy to cover most or all of your long-term care costs. This is what we would call a comprehensive policy. They would purchase a nice policy to cover all their costs. Even if they have a fair amount of assets, they may just want the security so they know if anything happens, they have this in place. So we would recommend 80 to 100% of their cost of care in their area, a 90-day elimination period. They would only have to self-fund for 3 months, or maybe even a 60-day elimination period, a benefit period of probably 5 years or 5 years with shared care, and maybe go with a compound inflation depending on their age. If they're in their 40s, 50s, 60s, we probably recommend a compound inflation so the daily benefit would keep up with the cost of rising care. Again, we would look at their age to determine what inflation that they should go with. The fifth option is to buy a hybrid life long-term care policy or a hybrid annuity long-term care policy. And I'm not going to cover those policies at this time because Jerry's going to cover those later on in his presentation. Second question, what makes someone uninsurable for long-term care insurance? When underwriters are considering a client for long-term care insurance, they're looking for morbidity issues. They're trying to see if the client has any pre-existing condition that may make them susceptible for needing care in the near future, or may the client need assistance with activities of daily living. They're not looking for mortality issues as they are with life insurance. If the client has a pre-existing medical condition that may cause premature death, that's not a big issue with long-term care. Again, it is with life insurance, but not with long-term care insurance. Some examples of uninsurable conditions are stroke. If your client has had 1 or more strokes, then they automatically would be uninsurable for long-term care. COPD with oxygen, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and the key here is with oxygen. If your client is using oxygen, then they're not insurable for long-term care. If they have a cognitive disorder, if they have short-term memory loss or Alzheimer's, then this would be a big issue with long-term care insurance. It would not be available for them. Chronic pain. If they're in chronic pain, if they're being